Hello everyone and welcome to CAV Math Lab and our series on multiplication and division. In this series we're exploring how to use strategies to become more efficient and accurate in our basic math facts. In this video we're going to be taking a look at a few division strategies. The first strategy we're going to look at for solving our division facts is a strategy we've been talking about throughout this series, and that's looking at the relationship between multiplication and division and using our fact families to help us solve. The way we can use our multiplication facts to solve a division problem, like for instance 18 divided by 3, is asking 18 divided into groups of 3, how many groups would there be? So that's like asking 3 times what is equal to 18. And we know that 3 times 6 equals 18. Therefore, 18 divided into groups of 3, there would be 6 groups. This is why mastering your multiplication facts will really help with your division facts. Next, let's look at some properties of division, and that just means things about division that will always be true. For instance, dividing by 1. Anytime we divide any number by 1, it will keep its identity and the answer will be that number. So for instance, if we take a look at 6 divided by 1, that equals 6. And that's just saying that if I take a group of 6 and I divide it into groups of 1, there will be 6 groups. Or there are 6 ones in 6. Or here we can take a look at 12 divided by 1 and see that that's 12. There are 12 ones in 12. So any number divided by 1 will be that number. The same thing is true with dividing 0. If I divide up 0 by any number, my answer will always be 0. This is like saying I have 0 cookies to divide among 4 people. Well, they'll get 0 cookies. And remember, as we went over in a previous video, we never divide by 0. That is called undefined. Another division strategy that is really helpful to remember is your squares. You'll recall from multiplication that when we have a number multiplied by itself, it's called squaring the number. So in this case, we have 4 squared. 4 times 4 is equal to 16. And 4 can be thought of as 16's root, meaning that that's the number that when you square, you will get 16. So we can use this information to help us solve a division problem when we have a square number that is being divided by its root. It will equal that number again. Therefore, 16 divided by 4 equals 4. It's also helpful to remember that whenever you're dividing a number by 2, you're really dividing the number in half. So for instance, if we have 6 and we divide it into 2 equal groups, there will be 3 in each group, or half in one group and half in the other group. Here, 8 divided by 2, or 8 divided in half, will be 4, and so on. Another interesting thing about division is if we reduce or divide both our dividend and our divisor by the same number, we can make a simpler division problem. So for instance, in this case, if we have 40 divided by 4, so here we have 40 divided into 4 rows, we know that there's going to be 10 in each row. But let's see what happens if we reduce this division problem. So here we're going to divide both the 4 by 2 and the 40 by 2. So it makes the problem 20 divided by 2. So here if we take 2 of these rows, we know that 20 divided by 2 is going to be 10 in each row again. Let's see what happens when we reduce again or divide both our dividend and divisor by 2 again. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. And we know that 10 divided by 1 is 10. So when you're dividing a problem by 4, sometimes it can be easy to half the problem and then half it again. Another thing that maybe you've recognized is what happens anytime you're dividing by half of a number. So here we've got 4 divided by half of itself, 2. Here we have 10 being divided by half of itself, which is 5. And here we have 16 divided by half of itself, which is 8. Since these numbers are half of the whole, we know that it's going to take 2 of them to get to the whole. So anytime you're dividing by half of a number, the answer will always be 2. The last strategy we're going to look at is partial quotients. And when we were looking at multiplication strategies, we talked about partial products. And this works in a similar way. If we look at this problem, 36 divided by 3, we don't have to take the whole 36 and divide it by 3. We can break 36 up. We know 36 can be broken up into 30 plus 6, so it might be easier in this case to divide 30 divided by 3 and then divide 6 divided by 3. So here we have 30, and if we divide it by 3 or divide it into 3 equal rows, we know there'll be 10 in each row. And here, if we take 6 and divide it into 3 equal rows, there will be 2 in each group. So 30 and 6 divided by 3 is 10 plus 2, or 12. You might recognize this again as using the distributive property. Okay, that's it for this video. We really want you to challenge yourself to use these strategies. They will help you solve your division problems more efficiently and accurately as you become more fluent in your math facts. If you head over to the CAV Math Lab course on Schoology, under the Targeted Support folder, you'll find the Multiplication and Division Strategies folder. And in here, we have lots of practice problems for you to use to help really get comfortable using those division strategies. You'll also find some games that will really help you practice and have fun. So that's it for us. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in the Math Lab.